All right, cool. Welcome back, guys, to Meetings After 7. This is episode 280. All right. How should I do the soundboard today? Do you mind doing the intro for me? As you're essentially Gina's stand-in.
Okay.
Right.
I thought she was going to like zoom in.
You know what? Today, it's just going to be us three.
Okay.
Just going to be us three. All right. So you listen to the pod, right?
Yeah.
All right. Do your best Gina impression.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all.
But can I have the words?
All right. So
it's blah something, and this
you know
is
what?
Meetings
I always
After
forget
7.
it. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
I'm your name.
Yeah.
And I'm here with Brent and Yusuff, and this is Meetings After 7.
Hi guys, I'm Donna. I'm here with Brent and Yusuff, and this is Meetings After 7.
Here you go.
Some D's on that beat.
Nice one. Brent, can I get a little bit of aircon?
Mm-hmm.
Cheers. All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. I have a very special guest in the building today. How would you like to be introduced? By your former stage name or by your real name?
Just say Donna, She Rockers.
Donna from the She Rockers. All right, but I'm going to let you intro yourself. Give us a bit of information, who you are, background, and then I'll say how this link up came to be, and then we'll go from there. All right, so you are Donna from the She Rockers. The She Rockers are...
We were a hip-hop group, all-female hip-hop group, formed in the late 80s. One of the members was Betty Boo, who people might remember. And there was another girl called Aura, who's from South London, Antonia. And there was another girl called Dupe. There was a bit of a Destiny's Child situation going on.
Nice.
We were signed to Jive Records, and we made an album called Rockers from London. And we were part of the foundation of UK hip-hop that happened in the 80s and early 90s.
Oh, nice. And, okay, cool. So Donna was a part of Gina's Train to Slay group. And I believe, so how did Gina find out about your history?
I think one of the girls who followed me on Instagram,
Yeah.
I must have posted a throwback photo
Okay.
of me with Queen Latifah.
Great picture, by the way. I've seen that.
Thank you.
Great picture.
And that was taken in London, actually.
Nice.
Brixton Academy,
Oh,
backstage.
nice.
And then, they just went searching for video and footage and stuff. And I told a few stories.
Yeah.
Also, Moni Love did an interview on The Breakfast Club.
I saw that. And she actually mentioned you, right?
And she shouted me out.
Yeah.
And that kind of triggered conversation as well.
Yeah.
Because I had introduced her to Jay-Z back in the day.
Oh, nice. All right,
Yeah.
we'll delve into that story too. Yeah. Gina obviously told me about Donna because Gina thought I'll be interested in your story, which I am. And you were surprised that I would care, but I'm you're very much engrossed in hip hop. So this is like great for me. So first question is for you, how was it back in the 80s? Oh no, what year did you release your album?
I think we released the album 1990.
No, okay, cool. So how was it back then? Just the scene in the UK? How did you get into music? What was it like being a woman in that space, navigating your way through the industry?
I mean, that's a whole, that's about 5 questions. It was amazing because we were there right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I'd always been into music and clubbing.
Yeah.
Kind of had been into soul music. But when I was about 14 or 15, I hung around with some guys from my estate and they played me some electro.
Where are you from, sorry? What was
White
it?
City.
White City,
Shepherd's
okay.
Bush.
Okay.
I'm from West London.
West London, okay.
We're apparently very soft, according to that guy on Instagram.
The guy who does the people like from whatever ends doing whatever. Yeah.
So I got into electro first and then it was kind of like African Bambata, some Sonic Force.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. There was this group as well. Oh God. The Rocksteady Crew.
Okay.
They made a hip-hop record which hit the charts and they actually came to London.
Yeah.
And they were a breakdancing crew that made a record. I think Malcolm McLaren produced the record.
Okay.
And then it was the whole Buffalo Girl. So I kind of really liked that music.
Yeah.
And got into that. And I went to school in Shepherd's Bush, Hammersmith County School, and I heard that there was a girl there that liked hip hop music as well.
Yeah.
And we literally became friends because we both liked the same music. And she was Betty Boo.
It's funny how niche it was back then that you would just hear that one other girl from a school also liked hip hop. So you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Whereas now there's thousands of kids who like hip hop. So how do you find, this one particular girl likes hip hop?
Literally somebody told, I think it was a girl in my class who lived on the same road as
That's funny.
That's so random.
Okay,
and she
okay.
was in a year below me.
Okay.
So I knew who she was, but I'd never spoken to her before that point. And we literally became friends because we both liked hip hop.
Okay.
And her brother was really into hip hop. And he knew a DJ. And he was a white guy. He lived a couple roads away from him.
Yeah.
And we literally just started going to his house.
Yeah.
And he would play beats and stuff. And we started writing our own raps. And that was it,
Went from
really.
there.
But the scene at that time, I wasn't really a part of it. But from a club that we used to go to, we met Rodney P.
Okay, yeah.
Who was a part of the hip hop scene at that time.
Yeah.
He was known as Roddy Rock when we met him, and he was kind of more on it. He hadn't become London Posse Rodney yet.
Yeah.
He was just like us, really, just a London bod trying to be into hip hop, dressing like Americans.
Yeah.
And we started hanging out with him, and then you got to know about the hip hop raves through word of mouth. That was it. It was like a network. Once you got to know one person, Rodney was from South London, and he knew everybody. I mean, we were from West London, and the few people that were into hip hop, I already knew them.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like the pioneers from West London, but Rodney knew everybody, so he kind of introduced us to the hip hop scene.
Yeah.
And it was formed really around people that danced, people that DJ'd, and people that rapped. And people that did graffiti. They call it the 4 pillars of hip hop, but it literally was that.
Yeah.
So everybody that was a part of the scene actually did something in the scene.
Yeah.
And you just learned about the hip hop jams through word of mouth. And then we got to know the DJs. Some of the early hip hop DJs that I knew were part of Kiss FM, who went on to, they were the pirate station, Kiss FM then. They wanted to form the legal one. And obviously we heard about Westwood. There was a guy called Dave Pierce. So whoever you knew that played hip hop, you would just go to their raves.
Okay.
And it was few and far between.
Yeah, I can imagine.
At that point. But there were also clubs in the West End that played hip hop. So we would go to the hip hop clubs, but you weren't allowed to wear trainers to go in.
Yeah.
So we sort of dressed the part on top and take the trainers in the bag.
Yeah.
Or we'd go to a mud club, and there was a DJ there called Mark Moore. And he went on to form S Express. I don't know if you remember that group.
I've heard of them.
They were like a pop group. But he would play a lot of hip hop, and, we would all just congregate at those sort of clubs. There's another guy called Philip Salon, and he's basically one of the real faces of London clubland. And he had a couple of club nights that we used to go to. I mean, he ran Mud Club as well.
Yeah.
But he's kind of famous in UK sort of nightclub history.
What's your earliest memory of when hip hop first made it over here?
I would say do you mean UK hip hop or American hip hop?
No, so both to be fair. So American hip hop. So what was your intro to US hip hop? And then being that you were around, I would say at the genesis of UK hip hop, what were the first things that were happening where it became
I guess
a point of interest?
There was a club in the West End called Astoria.
Yeah.
Where a lot of US artists used to come and perform there. A lot of the early people before they became really famous, like the Beastie Boys performed there.
Okay.
Salt and Pepper performed there. There was an artist called Schoolie D. And we saw Salt and Pepper perform there. And it was seeing them that was the lightning bolt. It's like,
spark.
okay, so we can do this. We were already starting to write raps.
Okay.
And just do it in the bedroom
Yeah.
and stuff. We were like, oh, we could actually do this. We
Yeah.
could perform this. And I think we actually made our way backstage that night and talked to them. And, you know, they gave us encouragement and
Yeah.
stuff. And we just went
Was it
away.
easy for you just to get backstage just as a
we would
regular?
always find our way backstage.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we always rolled with like a big group of people.
Yeah.
And you got to know people on the doors, or
Okay.
you got to know the layout of the clubs. We'd always end up backstage. I ended up backstage at Brixton Academy a few times,
Okay.
and Public Enemy, they came over to do a show at Hammersmith Apollo,
Yeah.
and that was another like life-changing sort of night for hip hop, and a lot of people that were in UK hip hop went to see them, and I think we got tickets from like our youth club or something for a $5, and we went, and the show was just incredible because I had the album. My friend had actually recorded it on tape. I don't know if you remember tapes.
I remember tapes.
And when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. You know, like when you hear something and it doesn't even make sense to you, but you know it's wicked.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to meet this group.
Yeah.
Like, I have to meet this group. I think, you know, we were very early in the sort of genesis of wanting to rap and stuff. So went to this show, me, Betty Boo, a couple of my guy friends. The show was incredible. Then we decided we were going to go and try and track them down. A lot of their hip hop acts used to stay at the Hilton Hotel, which was at the top of Shepherd's Bush or Holland Park, if you want to be posh. And so we went there, and there was somebody at the door. I don't think they would let us actually in the hotel. And then we saw like Rakim coming out, and then LL came out, but they weren't there. Someone said they went to get food. So we were like, okay, well, we'll just give up on that. Let's just go and get some food. We went to McDonald's. When we went to McDonald's, we saw the S1Ws from Public Enemy. And there were the soldiers that would be like dancing on the stage.
Oh, okay.
And with them was Professor Griff. So we started talking to them and we were like, yeah, we rap. I think I must have been like 17 then. And he's like, oh, you rap? All right, hold on 1 second. And he got out his video camera. And he's like, okay, rap for us. And so we started rapping. I was being a bit shy, but he filmed us, and that footage is actually on YouTube. So whenever people find out that, you know, I used to rap, they always find that footage. Somehow Westwood got that footage, and he's got his whole logo over it and everything. And that was how we met Professor Griff, who we then ended up working with, and he produced our first single, which was on a label called Music of Life.
Okay.
Which was called Give It a Rest.
Nice. And what year was this?
That was, I think, 87. I mean, I'm not like super clear on dates, but it was the 80s.
Okay.
And that wasn't the first thing that we did, but that I think was the thing that put us on the map.
Yeah.
Because A, it was Professor Griff from Public Enemy.
Yeah.
And B, he produced the record, and the record did sound good.
Okay.
We never signed like an album deal with that record label, but we did that as a one-off.
Okay.
But I will sort of slightly rewind, because when we came into the scene, the Cookie Crew were the female group that were out there that people knew.
What, from the UK?
From the UK.
It's funny because I don't know any UK hip hop acts from the 80s at all.
Really?
At all.
That's why I was saying I'm shocked that you would be interested, because I know there's that kind of real.
Well, to be fair, she was throwing in a few, because you two were talking about some relationships that were happening between different
and
rappers and stuff.
Yeah.
So she was feeding me that info as well. So that was also something I wanted to delve into, if you can.
Yeah.
But because I don't have any knowledge of any rappers from the UK, that's why I was so intrigued, because my earliest memories of, like, you know, the forefathers, so to speak, of UK hip hop are like, you know, Rodney P and even newer people like Black Twang. And anything past that, I'm oblivious to it.
So Rodney P and London Posse, they were a part of what I was a part of.
Yeah.
So at that time, the groups that were really a part of the UK hip hop scene.
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy called Nutriment. He was one of the. He's considered like the godfather. I know I'm gonna mess this up, so all you elders don't come for me. There was a group called the Demon Boys.
No idea.
They're from. Yeah, that's London
Brent has
Pussy.
just pulled out a record, the London Pussy record.
Yeah.
Vinyl.
Demon Boys are from, I think, North London.
Okay.
There's Hijack, who are from South London.
Yeah.
They were really strong.
Yeah, I have no knowledge of. Obviously,
Cookie Crew.
Yeah.
Derek B. Duke.
Yeah.
See Duke. There was Wee Papas. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a load of people.
Did you find that, obviously, being a woman and being a rapper, did you find that you weren't being taken seriously at the beginning, or were you just welcomed with open arms, or did you find that it was a bit of a struggle?
I mean, there was definitely, a lot of sexism.
Yeah.
And I think what we found was the eyes sort of came on us quite quickly.
Yeah.
So then people did attribute that to us being female,
Okay.
which may have been, I'm not saying that it wasn't true,
Yeah.
because obviously music industry, they want women to be there to be eye candy.
Yeah.
But we weren't there to be eye candy.
Yeah.
Because at that time, you never wanted to really be seen as sexy.
Okay.
So it was the opposite to what's going on now. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I try to make myself look like a complete man, but the way that we dressed,
Yeah.
which was kind of natural to us anyway.
Yeah.
It was, jeans and trainers, wore a bit of makeup, yes,
Yeah.
but you were never trying to be like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to be a pin-up or...
Once you signed, was it Jive you said?
Yeah.
Once you signed to Jive, did they try to change your image and try to make you more sexy and
No.
try to sell sex at all? Or no?
They didn't really.
Okay.
They wanted to change our music, and that was a difficult thing.
To what?
Because the Cookie Crew had success with a house track.
Yeah.
So there was this genre called hip house, which was rapping over house music,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
So that was the direction they really tried to push us towards, which is what was difficult about being in the music industry, because it was a real struggle to try and make the music that you actually wanted to make.
Yeah.
Because, they wanted you to hit the pop charts, because they saw that Cookie Crew had that kind of success,
Yeah.
which was kind of accidental, I think, even for the Cookie Crew, or it was something that, again, maybe their record label had pushed them to do. And I don't think they really loved the record themselves, because for them, it didn't really represent hip hop either.
Okay.
So we had that pressure, but the sexism was just the sexism that existed in society at the time. But at the same time, the hip hop community was quite strong, and there were a lot of really cool characters among the dancers and the DJs and just people that love the music. So we all moved as one, even though as a family we had our fights and we had our infighting. Like we did have like a major beef with the Cookie Crew, because it was like they were first, and it was it was that respect thing. We're first, you lot have just come along, you need to pay your dues type thing. And we were like, pay what dues?
Yeah.
Like we just want to make our music. We just want to rap. But it got so deep that because they were from South London and most of the hip hop scene was from South London, everybody was kind of like with them because they knew them first. And we were kind of, a bit alone. And it was even to the point where if a guy kind of liked me, but he was from South London, someone might have a word in his ear. That's how deep it got.
Was that just within the industry, or just life in general?
Just within the hip hop community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So go on, sorry.
It was to us at the time, it was kind of like life or death. Like you'd go to a hip hop jam and they'd be standing over there and we'd be standing over here.
Yeah.
But if you went to a hip hop jam and they weren't there, then it'd be like the hip hop jam was dry because they weren't there.
Yeah. So
because you couldn't stare at each other across the room.
How much did American culture really influence you guys?
I mean, initially, massively.
Yeah.
Because we liked the music, and then there was a whole look that came with it. And, it was all about having the trainers that certain rappers wore, the people in the US all wore these goose down jackets, the leather sort of b-boy jackets. So you had to have one of those. You know, you had to wear Kangol because LL wore Kangol. And also with the way that you rhymed as well. You had the stupid American accent initially because we were just copying. And I was thinking about this last night, but, you know, I'm Jamaican and I grew up with reggae music.
Yeah.
But I also grew up with soul because my mum, you know, she liked a lot of different music. But we were the first generation that were born here. And we hadn't really established our UK identity.
Yeah.
So it was in the very formative years. Other people that were making music, if they were making like reggae music, you know, they had the Jamaican identity.
Yeah.
But people that weren't making reggae music hadn't really quite formed the UK identity. So when we heard this hip hop music, but it was black people making it, we kind of adopted that initially. And then when London Posse, as they developed and they did rhyme in their own accent, Demon Boys used more of a toaster style rapping. So it was more Jamaican.
Okay.
And it was like, yeah, they sound amazing, you know. But even though I'm Jamaican, I've never really spoke patois like that because my dad discouraged it from when I was young. So patois was something that I had to learn. So I didn't have the patois voice. It wasn't authentic to me to rap in that because I had always been discouraged against speaking patois.
Patois,
So it was an interesting thing. But as we developed as artists, we would use more of our own slang. Even if we still had a little bit of a US twang, we would just use our own sort of words that our UK audience would know and would recognize. I mean, because obviously there's no point using American slang. You're not from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So just use your own words.
Do you feel like, you know, you guys from that era aren't really...
I love it when you guys say era.
Sorry.
No, I love it.
Yeah, or weren't really giving your flowers, so to speak, because, you know, when you see a documentary about, you know, UK hip-hop, and it seems like they start from a particular year. They don't really talk about what happened in the 80s, because this is all new to me, and I'm someone who's very engrossed in it. So I'm like, I've never heard of you guys before. Do you feel like you've got your flowers?
I definitely feel like there's people in the community that feel like that. And obviously people like Giggs and Stormzy have spoken like in detail about what their influences were. And it generally starts from like So Solid and garage music. And, you know, I hear that. I've got a daughter, she's 28, and she, you know, her musical sort of, her relationship to UK music, it starts with grime and that sort of era. So she has really, the only knowledge she has of the music before that is because I was in it, and her dad was in it as well. He was in a group called Syndicate.
Okay.
And I'm not really bothered about the whole flowers thing.
Yeah.
But I have noticed of late that it's popping up quite a lot.
Yeah.
With a lot of throwback video and clips are appearing on social media of my group. There was something from the BBC Archives. We did a kids TV show.
I think I saw that actually.
Yeah, and they posted that. And there's a picture of us from 1989 that Normski took. And it's me, Betty Boo, and Sweet Pea, who was one of the original members before we went through a lineup change. It was taken in Shepherd's Bush, and we're sort of, you know, we're dressed in the gear that we were wearing at that time. And it's that photo pops up on social media all the time because it's seen as really representative of the culture, of youth culture at that time.
At that time, okay.
Because in the 80s, really, girls my age generally went to blues parties. So it was like box pleat skirt and shoes and big puffy hair.
Yeah.
We were kind of like the first generation that really embraced streetwear as our casual wear, especially for girls dressing like that. It was very new. I mean, obviously in the 50s in America, it was all like jeans and pump, but the hip hop style was very specific. It was very, it was the genesis of streetwear as fashion. When we used to get on the tube and stuff, people used to look at us strange. There would be newspaper articles cussing sneakers and people that wore sneakers as like the most low class people.
Seriously?
Yeah. At that time, it was really
So was
just
sneakers,
considered thuggish.
were sneakers just exclusive to playing sports then? It wasn't something that people used to wear casually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Until we started wearing it like that. I remember I got my first pair of sneakers when I was in primary school.
Yeah.
Because before then, we used to get sneakers from like Marks and Spencer's.
So everyone's just out there just wearing shoes?
No, we used to wear trainers, but they were no-name trainers. They were like 4-stripe.
Okay.
From Woolworths or M&S. But, growing up on the estate, everybody had the same thing. It wasn't like, one person had the good trainers or loads of people had the good.
Yeah.
Everybody had the same. We didn't know that our trainers were whack at that point. But then, someone got a pair of really nice Adidas and it was like, oh.
I was going to ask actually, I was going to say at first, was this before, I'm not sure what year Adidas and Nike were introduced or what year they started, but was this before those brands were introduced to, this particular market?
Yes, it was. It was, because it was when I was in primary school, so it was a good...
Is it cool for you to say around what year this is?
Yeah, I left primary school in 1980. I started secondary school in 1980.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was in the 70s.
Yeah.
And my first pair of name brand trainers were a pair of Adidas. I think they were called Adidas Bermuda. And then I got a pair of Nike Bryn, which were white and they had a red tick.
Yeah.
And then they brought out Wimbledon, I think, around the same time. So they were like the first.
Yeah.
I think Adidas was definitely around, but we hadn't really seen it.
Okay.
But Nike was new.
Yeah.
Nike was fresh.
All right. For our YouTube watchers, can we say how old you are?
Yeah.
All right. You are...
I'm 52.
52 years old.
Yeah,
and you look very young for your age. Because even right now, when you're talking, I'm like, you said you were in primary school in 1980.
Yeah.
I'm like...
Oh, thank you.
But you look like you're in your 30s.
Well, thank
you. What's your secret?
What's my secret?
What's your secret to this youthful look?
Business. It's genetics. It's just family, innit?
Okay.
I honestly I can't take credit for that.
Yeah. It's this the age-old saying of black don't crack, right?
I'm blessed. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
I'm blessed, It's funny because I used to travel to America a lot when I was younger. I first went to America when I was 18. We went to see Professor Griff.
Okay.
And that was an interesting trip. So we went there, we stayed with him. Public Enemy were doing some shows and stuff. And we drove to a show with them to Delaware, which is near Philadelphia. And that's where we first met Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff.
What was that like, meeting Will and Jazz back then?
It was really cool. I'm not sure if I'd heard... I think we must have heard like one of their records at that point.
Yeah.
So, we knew that they rapped and stuff. But at that time, that's what it was like. If you were involved in hip hop and then the hip hop artists would come over, you would just get to meet them.
Yeah.
And
I guess because the scene was so small at the time, so niche, it was very just open and welcoming. Whereas now it's like red tape everywhere. So
yeah, exactly. You just wouldn't be able to get backstage or meet people like that. And then Will Smith, he actually asked out Betty Boo.
Okay.
And they went on a date, but I don't know
what happened.
It didn't really go anywhere. But
okay.
So that was a bit random. Then I would always see him. He was signed to Drive as well.
Okay.
So then I would see him at the offices in the US, or like when he came over. And I got completely sidetracked there, but it's not important. But what I was going to say was that I used to buy a lot of beauty products and stuff. And then one day I just sort of looked at my mum and
Yeah.
I thought, my mum's got really good skin. You know?
Yeah.
I don't actually need all
Need
this
that
stuff.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a bit of a random aside.
Nice. All right. So how did you end up getting signed to Jive Records?
Well, like I said, we got eyes on us quite soon.
Yeah.
Because we got to know Westwood through Betty Boo's brother and this DJ, Streets
What was,
Ahead.
sorry, to interrupt
30.
you.
He was 30 at the time.
Who, Westwood?
Yes.
I wasn't going to ask his age, but...
Oh, okay.
Oh, what, he was 30 at the time?
I don't know. I have no idea.
35.
I was going to say, because obviously Westwood's been around for yonkers, isn't it? So I was going to ask, what was he like back then?
I mean, he was really quite low key.
Okay.
And he would just be at a club night, maybe the table be in a corner, and he'd be DJing. And
because he's in his 60s, right?
yeah, apparently.
He's in his 70s. I can Google it. I'm sure he's.
But because he played hip hop, he quickly got a following because not many people did play hip hop. We used to catch lifts from him as well, like after the club night.
You were 17 then, right?
Hmm?
You were 17 then?
Westwood's 64.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Did Westwood ever extend his arm out to you?
No.
Huh?
No, he didn't.
He didn't?
He didn't, no.
I'm surprised.
I mean, he didn't.
You said you were too old.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, did any rapper of note, extend their arm?
One of the guys from Jungle Brothers, was interested in me at one point, and I knew Gangstar quite well.
Okay, that's Guru and DJ Premier.
Yeah. But it's quite funny actually because I got to know Africa from Jungle Brothers when I was in New York one time through my friend JC. And at that time, they hadn't really hit.
Yeah.
They hadn't had their hits yet. I got to know Tribe Called Quest then and and Gangstar. All just before they became famous. And Jungle Brothers came over to the UK to do a tour with Latifah, Chill Rob G, I think it was. And so when they came over, I was hanging out with them. I took Moni with me to meet them. I introduced her to Latifah. I introduced Moni to Jay-Z, Latifah, and Jungle Brothers. And Tribe Called Quest.
What year did you meet Jay-Z?
I think that was probably about 88 or 89.
You know that famous picture of Jay-Z in London?
With the car.
With the car.
That was
that the same
It was that time. It was
Okay,
that time.
Okay.
So I'll go back to Jungle Brothers in a minute, but when Jay-Z came over, he came over with a guy called Jazz. He was the one that had the record deal,
Jazzo.
And the record company were like, oh, these rappers are here. Do you want to go and hang out with them? And, just show them around.
Yeah.
And I brought Moni down. I was like, Moni, come and meet this guy, and introduced her. And she ended up hanging out with him more because I think she had more time. I didn't really have the time to hang out with him. So I literally only met him that one time. I really regret that. But that's how it goes. But and then I introduced her to Latifah and Jungle Brothers. And again, she had a bit more time and hung out with them a bit more than I did. And then it seemed like the guy Africa who had been making eyes at me was making eyes at Moni. And Moni liked him as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? It's cool. Because I came back after leaving her with them one day on the tour. And she was being really quiet. And then someone told me something. I won't reveal it here. But someone told me something. And then I just went to talk to her. I said, look, I didn't actually talk to her. I talked to him.
Yeah.
And I just said, I know you like Moni. And he's like, what? How do you know? I said, I'm not stupid. I said, it's fine. Just do what you need to do. I mean, he lived in America, so I didn't really feel like there was
anything that could come up.
Anything.
Serious.
I wasn't going to do that whole long distance thing.
Yeah.
With, So, but they ended up staying together for a little while.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
No, so funny. A lot of our listeners are young. Not young, but
I know.
I would say age range might be like 22 to like maybe 30 something. So all these names to them, they're gonna be googling like, they're gonna be like
the Jungle Brothers.
Who the hell are the Jungle Brothers? Professor Griffith.
Yeah.
They're probably baffled.
Yeah.
All right. So when you signed to Jive, did you then relocate to the States, or were you here?
No, we were here, but we would work out of the studio there was a studio in Harlem called Zomba, and it's like a world-class studio.
Isn't Zomba a label as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Zomba's a publishing company.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of artists used to work out of there. And we just spent a lot of time in the studio. We worked with UK producers.
Yeah.
I had to look them up today because my memory not great. DJ Crypt and Mastermind, they were both from South London, actually. Crypt, he used to work with this guy, Merlin, who is the nephew of Smiley Culture. I don't know if you remember Smiley Culture.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And Merlin was he became quite a big artist. And then they also sent us to work with the producers in the US. And they sent us to work with this guy called Todd Terry. Now, Todd Terry was known for making house music. And this is what I was saying to you. Like, they were really trying to push us to do the house music thing. But what they didn't know about him was that he actually started off in hip hop.
Yeah.
So when we went out there to work with him at his studio in Queens, we ended up making some quite good hip hop tracks, and we didn't do any house music. We were out there, which worked out for us. But we had, at the time, you don't realize, but all the studio time is costing you a load of money because it was a really expensive studio.
Curiosity. How much was it an hour to rent the studio back then?
Oh,
just I could do a price comparison.
I would say it was hundreds for that studio.
Or an hour?
Yeah.
Even in the 80s?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brent, you hearing that?
Because the Battery Studios was known even then as like a world-class studio. So it was money.
Okay. That's a lot still. I thought because it was maybe, I don't know, the currency.
Because it was so long ago. Yeah, like £5.
No.
Yeah, no.
Nothing like that, but just, not £100 an hour.
No, yeah.
All right. And how long would you say your span of your career was?
I would say it was like 5 years.
Okay,
really.
so it was quick.
Yeah, it was quick.
Okay,
It was quick, and it burned hot. But
it burned. What do you mean burned hot? Sorry.
It burned hot quickly.
5
as in,
years well.
Oh, it was like okay.
Yeah.
And would you say? Go on, sorry, you can say.
No.
I'm gonna say, did it end when it did because, you kind of reached your ceiling, or like what was it that kind of
I think
veered you to another path?
For the She Rockers, it was more about the personnel's desire, the group members' desire to make music.
Okay.
And I definitely found that within the group, the other members' desire didn't really match mine.
Okay.
Or their focus wasn't really on the music that I wanted to make. Like Betty Boo went off and she went and made pop music. And I had no idea that she wanted to do pop music.
Okay.
But then she did. She went and did pop music. And then the girl that I made the album with, Antonia, like just her drive to make music just wasn't as strong as mine.
Okay.
And also the industry was not supporting hip-hop music.
And
when I say industry, it's like the record labels.
Yeah.
And then plus, obviously, it was very difficult to get radio airplay. Like there was a big push for a track that we did called Jam It Jam to get in the charts.
Yeah.
Lots of interviews, lots of, TV appearances and stuff. And it only managed 53. So then after that, the record label are just like, either make these house music tracks, or there's just no support. Obviously, there are other record labels, but by then the music was starting to move on to just house and it was the summer and love, and it was all about rave culture.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
That era.
yeah, you know, the people like London Posse, absolutely rate them because they pushed on and they continued. You know, there were a few artists from that time that just kept going, and then a few artists like Ty and Black Twang, they sprung up and they kept going.
I was gonna mention Ty and Black Twang. To me, they're way more in the future, right?
Yes, but they were around at that
Oh,
time.
were they around?
Yeah. They were part of the scene, but maybe a bit later. But I remember Ty on the scene.
Rest in peace, Ty.
As a dancer. Yeah,
rest in peace, Ty. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Oh, okay, because Black Twang and Ty, I would say probably just a bit older than me. And I'm in my 30s. So
No, not just a bit.
Okay.
Well, how old are you?
36.
Huh?
36.
No, just making noise. So.
No, they're definitely a bit after you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, they weren't necessarily out at the same time as us, but they were on the fringes.
Like Black Twang, Skinny Man, Ty.
Yeah,
I would
group
like them together as like the next wave after. To be fair, the wave I never knew about. To be fair,
yeah.
That's quite interesting though. It's quite interesting. And if you don't mind saying,
Ty's music was amazing.
Yeah, no, I do like Ty. What did you do after you stopped making music?
After I stopped making music, I actually, at one point, I was in New York and I was planning to stay there and start a career as a solo artist.
Okay.
But just before I went to New York, I met my daughter's father.
Okay.
Well, I knew him anyway. I'd known him from the hip hop scene, but
Yeah.
we started to get to know one
Yeah.
another, and then I came back.
Oh, you came back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And my daughter's 28.
Okay.
And then
sorry.
after that, I decided I wanted to go back to finish my education because when I started making music, I actually decided not to go to university. I studied up to A levels.
Yeah.
But I'd become very absorbed by the music. And I was very lucky because my parents, they supported me. My dad he was a traditional like guy, but I was very, very fortunate because for that time, when you're thinking about the 80s, when, you know, the roles for women was so narrow at the time, and sort of what a girl could be was so narrow.
Yeah.
My dad really supported my talents and my passion. He saw me as a person.
Okay.
And when I said I didn't want to go to university, my mum wasn't really happy.
Yeah.
But my dad was like, let her do it.
Yeah.
She'll come back to it.
Okay.
And he always kind of bigged me up and said, oh, you know, you have more than one talent. He never ever criticized the way I dressed.
Yeah.
He never said, oh, why are you not more feminine? So, you know, I was just very, very lucky. But I had always wanted to be a journalist from when I was about 11. I was always into news, current affairs and writing. I was terrible at maths. And I think I went to the library and did some research because we didn't have the internet. I went to the library and I looked up.
Actually, going to ask you about that actually.
I looked up jobs you can do if you're good at writing.
Yeah.
And I saw journalists and I was like, okay, I want to do that. And I went, after I had my daughter, I went back to school.
Okay, nice. So yeah, go back to what you just said. How was it living in the age? Because obviously, no, I can speak to this as well because I never grew up with internet throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
But how was it living in the age when there was literally no internet, social media, everything was just books?
Yeah. Well, I love books, so that suited me. But for us at that time, we had like the 3 TV channels. Wow, I feel like a proper relic at the moment. But it's fine.
Oh yeah, because hold on, wasn't Channel 4 around back then?
No.
I know Channel 5 came around much later.
No.
So what?
We had when I grew up, there was 3 channels, but Channel 4 came.
So hold on, so BBC
when I was
1,
a teenager,
BBC 2,
was,
and then ITV.
Yeah.
That was it, and then Channel 4.
It was bad. And Channel 4 came much later.
Oh, okay. I thought Channel 4 was always a part of the four core. Sorry, the
Not
core
when
four.
I was young. I remember when it...
Yeah. Because I remember when Channel 5 launched.
Yeah.
I remember the whole rollout and, okay, we got a new channel. It was like, oh my God, we got 5 channels now. I remember that era.
5 channels.
Yeah, I remember when there was 5. Yeah. Obviously, this is before I had Sky.
Yeah.
Even before Sky. I don't know if Sky was a thing here, but I do remember when I just had 4 channels. Then, oh my God, we're getting Channel 5. There's a new channel launching. And then obviously Sky came after that and whatnot.
I mean, we weren't like deprived for entertainment.
Yeah.
Obviously, that we had our like TV shows that we watched, but we lived for being outside.
Yeah.
Especially when you're growing up on a estate, it's not a lot of room in the house anyway.
Yeah.
So we just lived for being outside.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was all about playing football, riding bikes, skateboarding, roller skating, activities.
Yeah.
You know, and once the holidays came, I mean, my family, we never went away. We just never had the money to do it anyway. So we never went back home. My grandma lived in the UK anyway. I never had family to go back home to. But in the summer, you were just outside.
So who were the first people from your family to come to the UK? Your grandparents or your parents?
My grandma.
Okay. I always... Is it...
My grandma brought her children over.
Is it fair to say that Caribbeans came over to the UK way before Africans started coming over?
I don't know.
Because there aren't a lot of people I know whose grandparents live here. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
It's just their parents. Their parents were the first ones to come over.
Okay.
I don't know anyone whose grandparents live in the UK at all.
Right.
So it's interesting to hear someone who says your grandparents actually the ones who came over here first.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Do you, Brent?
Actually.
Do I know any African people
whose their grandparents are here?
No, but I do remember quite a few stories from my barber. Recalling his father talking about West Indians and Africans coming together to fight off the whites, racists, obviously. Yeah. But I don't know who came. Before. I'm assuming it's Caribbeans, to be honest.
Harsh question, but did you experience any racism? Like not obviously we experienced racism, but I mean like proper like in your face racism is what I meant to say. Sorry.
I think there was just like one time at school. They were showing, I don't know if you've heard of it, Roots, the TV series.
Of course.
But the original one, not the remake, which I thought was good. And a kid called me the N-word. But our school was very multicultural and very, well, what you would say now, diverse.
Yeah.
So that didn't really go on much. But I will say that when I was in primary school, I was talking about this today, actually. A teacher accused me of stealing money from her bag. She asked me to go and get her bag. And then she said that I stole 50p. And I'm just like, hold on. How would you even know 50 pence was missing from your purse? Like, do you count your money in your purse?
Depends how much money she had in there.
I must have been about 6. And she actually searched me. Searched my body, searched my knickers for the money.
Where did you hide it?
Your knickers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Where did you hide it?
I didn't steal it. I didn't steal it. And then she was just harassing me so much about this money that I said that I took it. Because she
took it because she was harassing you about taking it.
She was stressing me about, like, she wouldn't let me go home.
But then where do you...
So I had to admit to it. You know, it was like, you're being interrogated, and then I broke down, basically.
But then where was the 50p?
It was nowhere.
So how can you prove that you took it?
Exactly. It was nowhere.
No, what I mean is once you said it was me, did she then ask you, where is it?
No. Well, no.
So then what was the point of confessing?
I don't know. I was 6. And anyway, I went home and I told my dad, and he asked me, did I take it? And I said, no, I didn't take it. So he came down to school and spoke to the headmistress, and he gave her the 50p and said, here, but my daughter, she's not a liar. But that was something that definitely sticks out in my mind.
Yeah.
But my primary school was actually pretty good. Secondary school, not so great. But around where we lived in Shepherd's Bush, it was just very mixed. You had everybody.
Okay.
You had everybody. I had like Irish friends. I had Nigerian friends. I had Somalian friends.
Yeah.
I had Moroccan friends. English. Everybody was there.
Okay.
So it just wasn't really like that when I was growing up. But obviously institutions are a different story.
Yeah.
Like for example, when I was at secondary school, I said I wanted to be a journalist, and you know, they never took me seriously, and they never even tried to, you know, help me achieve that in any way, shape, or form. They just they tried to steer you towards like secretarial work or
so
working in a factory.
So is that they were trying to veer women to work in those type of roles? That was like the
expectations for most Black students were just low.
Okay.
They didn't even talk to you about university and things
Seriously?
like that. But my best friend at primary school. She was Nigerian, and she was very bright and very well behaved. I actually forced the friendship on her.
Yeah.
The teachers used to say to her, like, oh, you should choose your friends more carefully, because I was a bit more boisterous and a bit more naughty.
Yeah.
But they, they could obviously see in her that she is somebody that, yes, she could go to university and embody it. And they did actually encourage her. But somebody like me who was maybe a bit more rowdy, and they were just like, no. Even though I said I wanted to be a journalist, and I even like we did like a school paper, me and Sharon, my bestie, we did that together, like made our own little school magazine and interviewed people.
Yeah.
And I based it off this newspaper columnist, Baz Bamiboye, who works for the Mail. And I ended up working with him at Mail up until a few years ago.
Oh, nice. So you became a journalist?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. I wasn't sure because you said you wanted to become one, but you didn't say, I became one.
Yeah. I said, I went to, after I had my daughter, I went back to school. I did a foundation degree, and then I went and did a degree for 3 years in newspaper journalism.
Okay.
And started working in the media, realised that to be an actual journalist, you need to have journalist qualifications. So then I went and did a postgrad.
Yeah.
That took another year, and I worked in journalism.
What kind of stories did you cover?
I ended up covering showbiz.
Okay, makes sense.
And it was an accident. I never tried to, it wasn't my goal to work as a showbiz journalist. I actually started doing personal finance first. I worked for FT.com as an editorial assistant, and then I worked for The Mirror as a feature writer on personal finance. Obviously found that a little bit dry after a while. And I went to this website and started working there. And because I took an interest in the showbiz, then I got moved to the showbiz desk, and I ended up becoming the editor after, working for it. And what was really good about it is because obviously I do have a good knowledge of music and film and stuff. When you're older and you're pre-internet, I absorbed a lot of stuff through newspapers, through TV. So I brought that knowledge with me to my work.
Yeah.
But what was also great about it is that as an online editor, there was a lot of space. Because my daughter is basically, of not a bit younger than you, but of the generation that's into, all the music trends, all the movie trends or whatever. She gave me quite a few, I would get a few tips from her on like people who are up and coming. I remember she played me, she'd be playing this artist, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
And then it was
this artist, Nicki Minaj.
Well, at the time I didn't know. I'm like, oh, who's that? Who's that you're listening to? Oh, it's Nicki Minaj. And then she started playing Drake, and we went to see Drake in concert when he first came over, and he played at Hammersmith Apollo, I think it was. So I would always I'll be able to get tickets and stuff, and I'd bump into people that she'd played at home, like gigs and I remember meeting Skepta in the early days.
Yeah.
And I would actually write about them and just sort of slip them on the website.
Okay.
Because it was such a big platform that I could, you could put unknowns on there. And very quickly they would get, look at Skepta. Before I was editor at the Mail, people weren't writing about crime.
Yeah,
People weren't writing about Drake.
I can imagine so, yeah.
They weren't writing about Nicki Minaj. But they saw them on Mail Online and they started writing about them.
Crazy. This is an obscure question about journalism, yeah, but it's, as you work in journalism, you know when there's a story about, say, Stormzy, for example.
Yeah.
But then they use a picture of...
I knew you were going to ask that,
Yeah,
Lukaku or something.
Of Lukaku, for example.
Yeah.
Is that on purpose?
No.
That's completely deliberate. Sorry. Deliberate purpose is the same thing. That's an accident.
I think there's been like a scientific study that white people struggle to differentiate between black people's faces.
I can believe that to be the fact, but if you work for an establishment, say the Mirror, the Sun, or Telegraph, whatever,
there's no defense for it.
Yeah,
there's honestly,
so I find it baffling.
No defense for it,
yeah.
And I saw it many times.
Yeah,
when I was working, many times.
Have you ever been on the inside where they realize they've made this mistake and what the conversation is like? Like once they've realized, oh, that's not Stormzy, that's Lukaku. What transpires inside? Like internally?
I remember once there was a story about DMX.
Yeah.
And they'd used a picture. There was two teams. I was the London team and there was a team in LA. The LA team had used a picture of DMC from Run DMC.
Rather than DMC. So they typed in DM and
and I phoned them up and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, you've used a picture of DMC and...
Yeah, not DMX.
The person was like, but they do look alike. I was like, no, they don't.
So there's no care really then? Because this person isn't DMX, it's DMC, it's not...
I can't defend any of this, but I've seen it happen many times. And I would just say that, when they say, oh, it's the most qualified person that gets a job, that's just not the case.
Oh, no, I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, well, we know it's not. The most qualified people don't get the job. And it's just really interesting how these people who can't actually do their job properly get these jobs.
Yeah.
But many time, and I would just get celebrities messaging me saying, oh, they've said this is a picture of me and that's not me.
Yeah. Because to me, it's so ridiculous. It kind of, not that it has to be on purpose, but if you're looking for a picture of a particular artist and you type in their actual name, how do you then get a picture of someone else?
Well, what happens sometimes is that the news agency, the photo agencies mislabel the person.
Oh, okay.
So for me, as an editor, if I'm doing something online, I'm searching for this person's name.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up like 100 pictures of this person.
Yeah.
One of those pictures could be mislabeled. Two of those pictures could be mislabeled. So it's a problem that's endemic throughout the industry.
Okay.
The photo agency editors are mislabeling people.
Okay.
So then the news editor, the picture editor at the paper is just relying on the caption.
Yeah.
They're not actually taking the time to go and check
and to research
that the person in the picture is that person or that it looks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Now I always wondered how that transpires. So it's it is slackness, really and truly. Okay.
And it's them not having a good eye for people.
Yeah.
It's them not being able to tell the difference between certain black people. Because some of them, they just can't.
Okay. Because out of a few cases, I'm sure we can put some down to just negligence. But then after a while, it feels like some of them are on purpose, because how could you still be making these mistakes in 2022? But if you're saying it's, you know, an issue which even is above them, then I guess, you know what I mean? But
but you shouldn't, you learn very quickly that you shouldn't rely on the caption, because you know that the captions can be wrong. Like I'm the journalist and I know that the captions can be wrong. So I'm not going to rely on it. You as the picture editor, you triply shouldn't rely on it. But, you know, the one thing I will say is that a picture editor often has to look through about 10,000 photos a day.
Okay.
So some things do slip through the cracks.
Okay.
Like if you do something like the Oscars, which we would cover, just that one event, there could be like 30,000 photos.
Yeah.
And they have to sift through them all.
Okay.
And pick out the best ones.
Okay.
So
And they make mistakes with the white folk.
sometimes.
Is it?
But not,
I haven't
definitely not as often.
I haven't seen any.
Definitely not as often.
So it's either those aren't being highlighted to us because, you know, we're not white, or they're not happening. I don't know.
I just think they don't look at our faces that
Do
closely.
you think? I think there's a lack of caring. Like there's a lack of, you know, let's make sure we get this right. They don't essentially care, so it's easy for them to overlook it because they're not really trying to do their due diligence, really. But it is what it is, isn't it? What is your fondest memory of, you know, being in the industry, being a rapper, and your career as a whole?
I really like the tours. I mean, we toured with
Best tour story after you finish.
We toured with Public Enemy. We toured with BDP, and we toured with De La Soul. I mean, I don't have one fond memory. I just
Seriously.
no
Something fun, something that sticks out.
I mean, I used to hang out with Flavor Flav quite a lot.
What was that like?
It was fun. He was
Flav.
He was who he was. Yeah, he was lively, but he was also very caring and just, you know, would always ask you if you were okay. And if you went out with him, it was just like a whole scene because obviously everybody always recognized him. Yeah. You know, I loved performing. I loved doing the live shows. One time we went to, was it Belgium? We were on tour with De La Soul. We did the show. And then Mace, the DJ, was like, have you ever tried a Long Island iced tea? It's like, no, because I didn't really drink that much then. And so he introduced us to Long Island iced teas, and we spent the whole night drinking, got horribly drunk. The next day we missed the call for to leave because we were following their tour bus to do this European tour, and they'd left without us. But we had our own bus and our own driver. We had to buy a map and then find our way to Amsterdam.
It's funny.
While hungover.
A big.
Yeah, exactly.
A5
no GPS.
Paper map.
No GPS, just a big map. And
Have I ever used a paper map before? I'm trying to think. I must have back when I was a kid. I must have.
I mean, that was an essential part of your kit as a driver.
Imagine trying to get around with a paper map, Brett. The big. I remember them from when I was a kid. I do remember them. Obviously, my dad using them, whatever. But it's just funny to think that we've gone from that to GPS, because to bring out, and they used to fold 100 times in it. Yeah. I remember those.
Performing at Brixton Academy.
Yeah,
that was a big highlight because obviously that was the big venue in London.
Yeah.
All the artists came there and performed, and that was the last show that we did with KRS-One. And Queen Latifah was there and Moni Love was there. They were all like backstage and stuff. And it was an amazing time because my ambition when I started was, I just want to make a record.
Yeah.
You know, I love this music.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing girls are doing it.
Yeah.
Let me do this.
Yeah. Can I delve into the finances of your deal and what the money was like in music back then? Or was that too much of a touchy subject? Not touchy. like intrusive subject, should I say?
I mean, I don't think the money side of it is that interesting.
For me, it is. Look, obviously,
because it really doesn't translate to what's going on.
No,
now.
I know. No,
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking, because obviously the industry back then, the money
that's me trying to say no.
The money artists were generating wasn't the same as what it is now.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to compare, for example, what your deal was. Okay, cool. I'll ask you one question and I won't pry anymore. What was your advance that they gave you for Jive Records?
My advance was, I think it was, you got money for publishing.
Yeah.
And you got money for the recording contract.
Yeah.
It was £30,000.
Okay. How much? Okay, that was your advance.
Mm.
Is there a figure in terms of how much your record deal was worth or no? Because obviously with your advance, that's the money you use to record your album.
Yeah.
And then you have to recoup that, right?
Yeah.
So you essentially signed for £30,000.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just doing a comparison to back then. Obviously, the money is way different. Even the money even back then was different between US and UK artists.
Yeah.
I'm sure Ella Cool J signed for, way more, but it's just it's all relative.
Artists, we all got stiffed on our first deals, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, do you feel like your first deal was a bit iffy?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I think it was for a number of albums plus the expense of the studio.
How many albums was that deal for?
I think it was for 5. There was an option for 5 albums.
But
they didn't take up the option.
But that advance wasn't to make 5 albums.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you would get. So would you say how many albums did you make? Just one.
One.
Okay. All right. Did you recoup?
No.
Okay. What are you saying like that for?
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like the studio costs, the video costs, it was extortionate.
No, I can imagine. No, that's why I asked before like how much it was, just to compare. Because 100.
Yeah, it was.
For £30,000 advance and your studio time alone is £100 an hour, you can spend your advance on studio time alone.
Well, you didn't have to use your advance for the studio time.
No, I know you didn't have to.
Yeah, they bill it. They just bill it. And you just...
you bill it and then you pay them back, obviously. Obviously, once you start selling records, they just keep taking the money until they get their money back. Okay.
So when did you, how far into your journalism career did you finish paying them back?
I don't think I've ever paid them back.
Jesus, that's a rebel.
No, but they control the publishing.
Yeah.
So what would happen is you'd get like a check every 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And they take their portion and then you get your portion. But yeah, I don't think they've ever got the money back fully.
Okay.
But
you still getting royalties?
Did they get any
I need
of...
to call them up about that.
Did you get any of your touring money? Or...
No.
Okay. So...
And we used to make like decent money from like live shows.
I want to ask another question. How much did you get for shows?
I mean, like I said, the money doesn't really translate.
No, I know it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm only asking just in my head so I can see what it was like back then compared to what it's like now.
As a teenager, it would be like a couple of £1,000.
Okay.
No,
but that's... I think,
today it's like 10K.
No, I think that's decent. I think
100%
in
for
the
live show.
In the 80s, to do a live show as a teenager to get a couple £1,000, you're lit in my eyes.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's artists now.
Yeah, I take that.
Huh?
I take that.
Yeah, there's artists in 2020 who probably get a couple thousand to do a show. So
yeah, and it wouldn't even be like an hour. It'd be like half an hour, 20 minutes.
That's sick.
I mean, as a teenager, it definitely was I'm not going to say living the dream because that sounds cliche, but you're just having a great time because you're doing something you want to do. You're making music. You're getting paid. You're traveling.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
you're meeting your heroes.
Yeah.
You're going to parties. We were going to New York. It was a good time.
Yeah, no, yeah. I can imagine. It sounded like it. I'm trying to remember the story that Gina was telling me, so I can probe you about it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh no! Story.
I'll have to look into my phone. It was about someone dating someone and da. It might have been about
It might have been about Moni.
Yes, it was about Money Love. Yeah,
Maybe we talked about that. So it was the guy.
Oh, it was the guy. What's the guy's
from
name?
The Jungle Brothers.
Was that the person that Gina mentioned to me? Because even she was excited. So I'm thinking for Gina to be excited, it must have been someone that was kind of famous. Because Gina doesn't know who the Jungle Brothers are.
Or maybe it was Betty Boo dating Will Smith.
I think that was it. Was that it? I'll have to look at my phone. But all right. Interesting. You led a quite interesting life.
I mean, I definitely feel fortunate for the time that I grew up, which was really quite a dreary time for women.
Yeah.
I definitely feel fortunate that I got involved in it and that I didn't really meet a lot of resistance in getting involved in it.
Yeah, that's good. It sounded, from when you said they were trying to veer you towards becoming a secretary, that's when my mind started to swirl. Like, okay, cool. What was it like being a woman in those times where, because obviously, I'm not job shaming, but if you're in school and they're trying to veer you to be a secretary, to me, they're looking at you like, your ceiling is quite low. Not saying that job is low, but for an educator to say, why don't you just be a secretary? It's like you just see me as that. Or
basically, at that time, there was no expectation that you'd have a career.
Yeah.
And the director Steve McQueen, he's kind of like my age group, and he talks about that a lot. That's why he did that whole season of films on the BBC.
Yeah.
Because he definitely felt like there were no expectations for him to achieve anything in his life.
Yeah.
Or other Black people as well. But I definitely I think from my dad wanting me to go to university.
Yeah.
But then from me just knowing that I was bright, I don't know how I knew, but from a young age, I knew that was smart. And I guess in part because of my dad, I used to read a lot as well.
Yeah.
My sister was bright. My sister is bright. So in our family, we just had that confidence about ourselves that we could reach for more. And it didn't get completely knocked out of us by secondary school. And I'll definitely say like in my primary school as well, we had some really, really good teachers, some really good, the kind of liberal teachers that should still exist now, but not the liberal teachers that talk a lot but do nothing, but they really invested in the kids.
Yeah.
So even though I could tell that these people weren't really trying to help me, just within myself, I had that drive to keep pushing for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always been. Like, nobody in my family did music, but that's what I wanted to do, and I made it happen. And the same with the journalism thing.
Yeah.
Journalism is so hard to get into. I think I'm not going to say it's getting easier, but I feel like with the social media, what has been great is that people can do their own journalism. People can do their own media.
Yeah.
And I think that's been really good for us as Black people. The percentage of Black people that are involved in journalism hasn't really changed in like 20, 30 years.
As you've been in journalism for so long, what was the transition from, more so print to now just everything being online?
I think I was quite lucky because one of my first jobs in journalism was online.
Okay.
So I worked at FT.com, and when I was there in the office, I thought, well, if we can do everything online, why do I have to come into the office?
Yeah.
I can't work from home.
Yeah.
That still hasn't really happened. I've worked on newspapers as well, but mainly I have worked on websites.
Okay.
And once I started working on websites, I didn't want to work on newspapers anyway, because what's the point?
Yeah.
You can get everything out there straight away.
Yeah. It's true. I've not read the newspaper in a while.
And I realised that because, I've managed teams for probably about 12 years. And I realized a lot of the journalists that work for me are in their 20s
Yeah.
or early 30s. And they can't remember certain things that have happened in the past because they just didn't read newspapers, even though they went to journalism school and you're supposed to read newspapers.
Yeah.
Because how will you know what style to write in for different publications if you don't read a cross-section of publications? But they don't read them.
Yeah, you know what's mad about just comparing, back then to now? For example, just say I want to consume or I want to get my sports news, right? So now it's just on my phone. When I was younger, I used to go to the newsagents every morning. I would either buy a newspaper or just look at the back page just to see.
Yeah.
And I'll just quickly flick through it. And that's how I got my sports news in the morning. I just went through the back of the paper. So it's just mad to see the difference between then and now. It's crazy.
Well, especially for me, but I think it's just been amazing. I remember, we were talking about the paper maps and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I was trying to go to the cinema in the West End. It's one of the Curzon cinemas in Mayfair. And I think I didn't have my A to Z on me, my little A to Z book.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember A to Z.
This, like in the
A to Z
early
book.
2000s.
Yeah.
I didn't have my little A to Z book.
I remember the A to Z book.
And I was asking people and no one knew where this cinema was. And I'd been there once before.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember the way. And I was like, oh, that's it now. I'm going to get one of these phones, one of these iPhones. That's it. I've had enough. Because I need to be able to find.
Hold on, what year was this?
This was like. It's got to be like the mid-2000s.
Because if iPhones were out and you're still using the A to Z, you were way.
Yeah, I was behind.
Way behind. I can't remember the last time I used the A to Z.
My first iPhone was a 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, A to Zs were Asian.
But remember, I was studying, so I didn't really have the money.
Yeah.
And you needed the A to Z because when I was at my postgrad course, she would just basically give you coordinates of an area and you'd have to go to that area and find a story.
Okay. What do you mean find a story?
Like you'd have to find a story. You'd have to.
What type of story are you looking for? Anything? Because
you'd have to talk to people in the community.
Okay,
you'd have to talk to shopkeepers, whatever, to find out, was there some issue in the area or, had something happened, whether it was crime or whatever. Yeah, you'd have to do that.
That's quite interesting.
Like once a week.
They just tell you to go anywhere in London.
Yeah.
Go and find a story and come back.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Were you looking for particular types of stories, or did you think that some stories weren't good enough, so you were looking for particular, like something juicy?
You just want something that's newsworthy.
Yeah, of course.
Newsworthy. I think I did a story once in Islington on a car that was abandoned outside Woolworths, and at a time when there was, heightened bomb threat awareness.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what you have to do.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, I've been lucky that even though obviously I grew up without all this technology, apart from we did have computers.
Yeah.
And my dad bought my sister a computer actually when she was 18. And we used to have video games. We used to have the handheld consoles. I worked in online and I've really seen the development of that. And just, I'm a person, I'm into tech. I'm into that kind of stuff. I'm into what's new. And the phones, they do make your life easier, even though they can be a bit of a headache. Of course. It's literally a little computer, isn't it? So any thought that you have, if you think, oh, I need some new trainers or whatever, you can just go to your phone and literally you will have bought it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, no.
It's crazy.
No, times have really changed. All right, I'm trying to think, is there anything else I want to ask you about your career? I think I've covered all the bases actually. All right, here's one. What would you change if you could go back now? Obviously, knowing what you know now, about the industry and even with your deal, for example, is there anything you would change about your situation and how your career went?
Oh yeah, I think what I would change is I would learn more about production.
Okay.
Because I was interested in production and I did have some input on some of the tracks that we made. But I would have loved my career to be more like Missy Elliott's career. I'm not saying I'm in any way near as talented as her, but I did really enjoy the production side of it. And I think definitely as women, we didn't take enough initiative to get more involved in the production side of things and work with other artists, write for other artists, maybe set up my own publishing. And, you know, I really respect that about the young artists of today, that they recognize and understand the value of owning their own work a lot more than maybe we, you know, the artists of my time did. And just that they have something that's really important and valuable, and that they can put it out there themselves and make money from it. Yeah,
that makes sense. Obviously, that you were doing your thing in a completely different time where a lot of these things you're saying weren't even thoughts, especially for So,
but it is really interesting to see the progression of the music and how the UK music has just thrived. It's just amazing. Like I always get really excited when I hear a UK artist's track in an American TV show. You know, like the grime and UK hip hop has really travelled. And it's really creative.
Do you still feel, or do you feel, have you ever felt like female rappers aren't given the same, you know, respect or opportunities as male rappers? And do you feel like, if you think about from when you started to now, do you feel like enough progress has been made in terms of like how female rappers are received and the platforms they're on and the chances they get and, you know, everything in between?
I feel like they're not necessarily given credit for the music. And it's always sort of just reduced to the image. And, you know, how they look. And then there's always a debate about who's writing the lyrics. But yeah, I definitely feel like the industries...
And I'm talking UK, not US, by the way.
Oh, the UK.
I'm just talking just UK, sorry, just from the
UK. I definitely feel like it took a long time for Little Sims to really get a profile here. And there's not enough investment in female artists, period, in the UK, black female artists. You know, there's a really disturbing trend in the UK where they just consistently want to elevate white artists doing black music, and especially females, but the support just isn't given to the black female artists.
I agree.
And I met with somebody at Spotify once a couple of years back, and we were talking about female rappers, UK female rappers, and the person said to me that people don't want to listen to female rappers.
Did they give a reason?
No, said they're just, people don't want to listen to them.
As in,
they're not popular.
As in UK or US?
UK.
Okay, because just listen to your story and your journey. I'm just like, have things really changed for female rappers even now? Obviously things are better. I'm not saying things aren't better, but from, you know, obviously from the journey you've, you know, taken up until now, I don't feel like enough progress has been made.
No, I don't.
From when you started up until now.
I don't, but it's literally we're at a point now where it looks like it's going to be changing, but it is 2022. Yeah.
Because if you look at the US and you look at, okay, who's the biggest rapper in the US, you'll say Drake, right? And then you might say, okay, cool, who's his female equivalent? You'll probably say Nicki Minaj or Cardi B. Drake is still bigger than them, but the gap isn't, you know, there isn't a mammoth gap. Probably between Drake and Cardi, but not really between Drake and Nicki, so to speak. You know, semantics. But you look at the UK now, who's the biggest rapper in the UK? You'll say Dave, you say Stormzy, etc. Who's the female equivalent?
Yeah.
There isn't any. And
No.
the ones that you would say aren't anywhere near them.
Yeah.
Steph London, Miss Banks.
Mm.
Sims is climbing the ladder, and I'll say she's probably, it's different with Sims because she's such in a different pocket than the rest. She's very conscious and one compared to like a Steph or a Miss Banks. But the disparity between Dave, Stormzy, and then Miss Banks, Steph London, Sims is vast. So I just feel like the progress that should have been made between, for example, when you started up until now hasn't been made.
No, because people do not want to push music that's fronted by Black women. They don't. They don't want to put money behind it. They don't want to put budget behind it.
So there's a conscious agenda.
It's a systematic thing.
Yeah.
You know, if they've got money to push Anne Marie or Miss Banks, where do you think the money's going to go?
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you feel, actually no, sorry. Do you feel like they do the same to black male rappers too?
No.
No?
No. But also with the black male rappers, it's about the audience, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well. Like men will typically support the men.
Yeah.
But that audience won't necessarily support
women.
the women.
Do you feel women support women enough in that industry?
In terms, I feel like the support is there for the women from women, but it's that part of the audience that supports a male artist leaves the women.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's not really my thing.
Okay. I get you. It's interesting. Interesting. Brent, any questions?
Has your daughter followed your path, journalism?
Well, she actually does. She does video and photography. So she's not journalism, but she does media as such, and she works with artists like Kadeem Tyrell, making content for them, taking photos, and she works with other musicians and stuff. So she's kind of gravitated a bit more towards taking photographs of musicians, I guess. Because she's really into music and, you know, as I guess most kids are.
Was she the one who bought you the iPhone?
Huh?
Was she the one who bought you the iPhone?
I was the one that bought her the iPhone.
Yeah.
No.
And you only have a daughter, you don't have any sons?
No, just the one. Just the one. And then just kind of pushed on with the whole career thing.
Okay. You're the father of your daughter. What's his name again?
He was in a group called Syndicate.
Yes, no, she did say his name.
She said his name? So his name?
Oh no,
Said
sorry.
his name?
What was his stage name is what I meant to say.
Oh, his stage name was Crazy Noddy.
Crazy Noddy.
Yeah.
So he was...
And then it was just Noddy, I think.
He was Crazy Titch before Crazy Titch, right? How long were you together? Did you, like, how did his... I'm not sure the trajectory of his career, but did that play a part in you guys not being together or... No?
No, I mean, we were together about 3 years.
Okay.
And I think it was the same for him. They had a really well-received album.
Yeah.
And they actually were one of the first sort of hip-hop bands that had a live band and would do their gigs with a full band. But again, you know, the record company's support ended up waning. And he continued, you know, trying to make music, but I think just like me, ended up just deciding it was time to head out.
Okay. All right. What I wanted us to do, actually, I want to play, just to give the listeners some context.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play one of your songs.
Where are you playing it from?
From my phone.
Oh.
Are they available?
What song is it?
No, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you what song should I play? Just to give everyone, you know.
Why don't you play On Stage?
On Stage. Right.
Which you'll find on YouTube.
Okay.
You've heard it before, haven't you?
Or do you want to play the one that was
No.
produced by Professor Griff? Maybe Give It a Rest. Play that one.
I want to play whatever you Recommend, really.
Yeah. Play, give it a rest.
Just so, the listeners can get an idea of, your style, what area you're from and all that stuff. Well, so give it a rest, you said?
Mm.
Give it a rest.
I think play a snippet of that, then play a snippet of On Stage.
All right.
Oh,
Let me get plugged in.
I don't get headphones.
You got headphones,
Yeah, but you know what it sounds like.
To be fair, it's so loud you'll be able to hear it anyway.
Mm.
But here's some headphones.
Hopefully it's like Michael.
What's that?
What?
What did you say? All right, let's see what this is saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, may I bring to you the She Rockers. Yeah.
After such a short time, we overtook. We soon shook the scene, so let's take a look at what we done. It's second to none, so why don't you give your runaway time a rest? There's nothing left, so you're best to save your breath. Simply death. She rockers in E. No point in making us a main subject anymore. We get quite bored. We can't help it if the sound is raw quality. The rock's for the she. You're in no position to this the melody, nor the bass. At the top we were placed. Shot like a bullet, yours at a slow pace. Face, yes, face back. Hold back the tears. Yes, we got the knack. 'Cause don't need no pack. Just cushy rock. It's guaranteed to make a people come and need to do is chill this, move this. Don't you dare ask me to prove this. Beat that stuff can't be compared to that of yours. The title is shared. The fact is that she rockers all. All you could do is bitch.
And then the second one you mentioned?
On Stage.
On Stage. She Rockers. Who came up with the name?
Well, my tag was She Rock because I used to do graffiti
Okay.
tag. And then because we couldn't really think of a good name, we just extended it.
Okay. This is a really cool artwork. I like
Oh.
it.
Thank you.
Let's get it on. Get on the rock this born to perform on the mic. Cool goddess. Girls who be jumping to rock is exquisite. Some people see the baggies and ask me who is it. What I said, producer, she's can't get loose with another explanation. The one is you sled. You said. I say you don't get your damn white hand off the microphone. You see my hunger, MC, auras here on stage. And MC left the rant and rage. Because the girls forced behind me. Females tried, but couldn't touch me. On stage, she's rocking up a rage. On stage, she's rocking up a rage. Get up and rock harder. She said the face, the beats a lot stronger. Here on the stage, watch my hips pumping. Auras of time, routines, the devastation. Take it away, we're going on not long. Our voices, they will vote as we do this song.
Yeah, definitely reminds me of that era, man. Public Enemy, EPMD, LL
Yeah.
Cool J, Beastie Boys. Like, you definitely fit in that
Mm.
under that umbrella. Could I ask actually, just so I can get an idea of like your life back then,
Mm.
in terms of like your fame
Mm.
within the UK or even maybe in the US,
Yeah.
how, like, on a scale
How
of 1
well
to 10,
known. Yeah.
how well known would you say you was back then?
At the time.
Yeah. Like,
I'd say it was like a 9. you
Okay,
know,
so
because in London,
yeah.
everybody knew.
So you would describe yourself as famous back then?
I mean, I wouldn't, but well known. We were definitely
Well
well
known,
known.
okay.
Like, I still get people
Yeah.
recognizing me now,
Okay.
and it's like I ride a lot, I cycle a lot,
Yeah.
and I must have gone to this event, and one of the guys there, he's
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
a cycle club
Yeah.
that I'm actually part of now, and he was like, you're Donna from She Rockers.
Oh, nice.
So if you're of that time,
Yeah, if you're of that time, yeah.
You will know
Okay.
She Rockers because it was, in terms of the female crews, there was We Papas.
Yeah.
I think they had a number 1 or they had a top 10 record.
Okay.
and Cookie Crew,
Okay.
and there was us,
Yeah.
and there was Moni Love.
Yeah.
There was other female rappers, but we were the main ones on that scene. So when people are talking about UK hip hop from
Yeah.
the 80s,
Yeah.
they'll always mention all of us.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Slick Rick when he was here?
No.
No. Okay.
I
Did
didn't
you
actually.
know of him before he went to America?
No, I didn't.
You know of him. Okay.
No.
All right. So you were quite well known.
Yeah.
And what's your biggest hit, your biggest song, single?
I'd say the song that people remember us
Yeah, that's
for
the question. What's the song
the
that people know
most.
you for?
Oh, it's difficult. People really like to Give It a Rest,
Yeah.
and they liked On Stage
Okay.
because a lot of people really like that break beat,
Yeah.
the Hot Wheels
Yeah.
break that we use for
Yeah.
the
Okay.
track.
Okay.
But the one produced by Griff
Yeah.
and that one.
Okay. And are you tapped into the industry at all now? In terms of like, executives, A&Rs, people behind the scenes, are you kind of like in the mix in any shape or form?
I'm one of those people that if I walk away from something, I'll just walk away
You're just
from
done
it.
with it. Okay.
I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved music, but I didn't really love the industry, and I never got into it for the industry.
Yeah.
I got into it for the music. And
Yeah.
then when I stopped making music, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
what's next? That's what I'm like. I'm like a what's next person.
Yeah.
So, and even with journalism now, I'm kind of feeling like I'm done with that.
Okay. What's on the horizon?
Well, I'm really into like my endurance sport. I did
Okay.
an Ironman triathlon
Oh,
last
nice.
year, and I cycle a lot. So I feel like what's next involves sport.
Okay.
Mm.
On what type of level are you looking at?
I don't know. It's not clear to me. I'm in between roles at the moment.
Okay.
So it's either I continue going along the journalism road,
Yeah.
or maybe I work for a cycling company, or
Okay,
cycling
okay.
brand, or
Yeah.
sports brand.
Yeah.
Something where I can merge like my passion for what I do. Because I ride about 3-4 times a week.
Yeah.
I'm training for a half Ironman
Yeah.
in July.
What activities consist of Ironman?
So swim,
Yeah.
running, no,
Yeah.
swim, cycling, and running.
Yeah.
So last year the swim was a 2-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and then a marathon,
Marathon, as in how many miles?
26.
Jesus.
So I did that last year in Barcelona. This year I'm just going to do a half that distance.
Yeah. That is a lot. That's a lot of miles.
Mm.
It's a lot of miles. Okay. Well, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And the next stage of your life.
Yeah.
It was nice delving into, your career and whatnot. I find it quite interesting. Brent, you got any more questions before we wrap up?
So your lungs are decent.
My lungs.
Mm.
Yeah. What you mean for the running and stuff?
Mm.
Yeah, you riding like up hills and stuff every
Your
weekend.
lungs decent,
Yeah, they get there.
Mm. So what frustrates you these days?
What frustrates me?
Mm. You seem very kind of measured, but what actually pisses you off?
This country, man.
In terms of
Some of the racism that's going on. The thing with the girl, the girl who got strip searched. Things like
I
this.
saw that very briefly. It was so there's a girl.
Mm.
I didn't read into her. I didn't read the story properly, but what I know of it is, was she in school or somewhere?
Apparently, she was sitting an exam,
Sitting
and
exam,
the teacher
smelled weed.
thought she smelled of weed.
Yeah,
And they normally have a in-house police officer,
yeah.
but that police officer wasn't there.
Okay,
So they called the police.
okay,
And she got strip searched on the school premises.
yeah. I read that she was also on a period as well, which made it that much more invasive.
Yeah, and she was 15.
Yeah,
And she didn't have like a responsible adult present, or
yeah,
she's a minor.
yeah,
So the things that frustrate me are the things that I feel like I can't change about
Yeah.
living in this country.
yeah,
And it's like the daily assault. And obviously, because social media is so present in our lives, you see so much more of it.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. That's true. Was there a conclusion to that story with the young girl?
Well, it happened 2 years ago.
Happened 2 years ago.
Yeah. So it was a report that came out that detailed all of it.
Okay.
The conclusion is that she's traumatized.
Oh, I thought this was happening now.
No.
Okay, it happened 2 years ago.
That she's traumatized, and obviously she just feels that she was completely violated.
Why did this story come out now?
Because I think Labour councillors in Hackney forced an investigation to happen.
Oh, okay.
And the report's only, it happened 2 years ago. The
Oh,
report's
okay.
just dropped.
Okay. That's crazy. But I can understand why, things that frustrate you that you can't change would be, the cause of your frustrations. I think
that is frustrating. But in, I guess, just my daily life, I just get frustrated when I'm riding up hills. I can't go up faster.
That's a very practical frustration there.
Yeah.
I know he's like a worldly thinker. I know he wants you to dig deep.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that?
She hasn't started, obviously, telling me that she's riding up hills. That's what frustrates me. It's not what frustrates you the most.
No.
Impossible. What type of music do you listen to?
What type of? I'm really listening to Yeba a lot at the moment.
Okay.
I like neo soul, I guess, but I also like really ratchet hip hop. I have no taste. I will listen to Cardi B all day and Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
And I listen to grime. Do they even call it grime anymore?
Yeah, Grime's still good.
UK hip hop. I was listening to Dave today. I quite like his song Starlight.
It's decent.
It's quite catchy with the hook.
Yeah.
But the lyrics are good.
Yeah, okay. Who are your top 5 female, I want to say rappers, should I say artists? Let's go with rappers.
Oh my God.
Of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah. Because you were there at the
I'm gonna
inception,
go
so you saw everything.
Yeah. I'm going to go backwards. But in no particular order.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Sade. I'm going to say Missy Elliot.
Sade is a rapper.
Did you say rapper? You said female artist.
No, I said
Started at Urban.
I started and I changed to
Okay,
rappers.
well, I'm going to say Salt and Pepper, even though it's not one person.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Missy Elliot. I'm going to say Latifah. I'm going to say Moni. And I'm going to say...
I'm going to throw some names out there.
Go on.
Kim.
Yes, Kim.
Would you put Kim over Foxy?
Yeah.
Would you put Kim over Nicki?
Yeah.
Over Lauren?
Over Lauren? Do you look at Lauren Hill as a rapper? Or do you look at her as a singer?
An artist.
An artist, yeah. I think that's fair to say.
Response.
Do you rate Remy Ma?
I've not really listened to a lot of her music, to be honest.
Okay. In terms of the new ones, how do you feel about Meg Thee Stallion?
I love Megan.
City Girls?
They got a couple of bangers.
Yeah. Ratchet music that you like to listen to?
Yeah. They'll go on my gym playlist.
All right. If Missy Elliot done a Verzuz, you know what Verzuz battle is, right? No, I'm just asking.
I wouldn't have asked that question.
No, it's not about age. It's about you might not be privy. You might not like.
Sure.
Yeah, of course I know what a Verzuz is.
Brett, allow me. Who would you put against Missy Elliot?
I mean, she's in a class of her own, really.
She is. I 100% agree. But if you had to pick, and it don't have to be a woman. It could be a man.
Buster.
Is that more so because they're very animated and but not more so
I think
to
it
do
could
the music?
really work.
Yeah, Buster would insult.
I think Buster would feel like that's an insult.
Yeah.
Not that he doesn't look at Missy Elliott as a great artist, but I think that he looks at himself as being a tier above her.
No, I don't think he is.
Interesting.
No, I think he sees it that way.
Yeah.
I don't think
he might, but he shouldn't be insulted. She's a great artist. We're always
he's better.
Huh?
What?
Huh?
No, I love Missy Elliott.
Yeah,
I love
Buster's
Missy
up there.
Buster to me is a better rapper than Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
In in terms of their creativity
Right.
and their style, and obviously
yeah, so
they're
maybe
both
I'm just going off a visual thing.
they're both known for music videos, of course.
Mm.
That's like, for having, just grandiose, so crazy music videos. They're both
I guess
neck
for
and neck in that
his early stuff, but yeah. Buster lyrically, his flow is incredible.
yeah. How would you rate your rapping ability out of 10?
Who?
How would you rate your rapping ability out of 10?
Oh, like 6.
Okay. So did you ever, obviously you stopped rapping.
Mm.
Did you ever carry on for fun, for leisure? Did you ever just write raps down, or you just like, it wasn't like a hobby for you, it was just done?
No, I still did write.
Yeah.
I still did try and put little
Yeah.
lyrics and songs together.
Did you always write in that same 80s flow, or did you change it as time went on?
Yeah. No, it did change a little bit.
Yeah. So if you rapped now,
Yeah.
what?
No, I couldn't.
No, I'm not saying rap now. I'm
Yeah.
saying if you did rap now, what in your mind? What
Mm.
kind of flow would you rap? How would it be?
Wow.
No, 'cause obviously, if you look at like Emma Cool
but
J, for example,
a lot of
his
these.
style changed
Yeah.
as years progressed. He didn't do that. You know what I mean?
Mm. Who was I listened to the other day? I think it's like Pop Smoke. He rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
He only really has one cadence.
Yeah, but his cadence is
It's current.
current.
Yes, I know. But I'm just saying there's a lot of artists now that.
Oh yeah, no,
have
there's a lot of
one
artists who've
style,
had
yeah.
one style since they've
But
started.
whose style would I rap in? Maybe Megan's.
Okay. Fast, kind of
Mm.
quick pockets.
So
Yeah,
you said
somebody's-
you listen to ratchet stuff. Do you
Mm.
dance
Am I ratchet?
ratchet too? Do you enjoy yourself? Is
Wow.
what I'm asking. Do you enjoy
Do you
yourself?
dance ratchet?
Do you enjoy yourself?
Do you twerk? I think that's what he's asking.
No, do you enjoy yourself when it is that these
Yeah.
music? Okay,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I enjoy myself. I am not a twerker. I do not have that skill. I've
yeah.
looked at the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
I'm intrigued to know, because you look so young for your age, socially, where do you go out and like what is the scene like for you? Because I feel like you're in a weird space.
Yeah.
because
Oh
you-
really?
Yeah, because you look young,
Yeah, yeah.
but you're much older than
I have
know.
younger friends.
like what's the age
I
gap?
went to the originals.
You went there.
Yeah, I met you there.
Where? You met me at Originals?
Yeah, I did.
With who? Who are you with?
I was with my friend, but I came up to you. This is really embarrassing.
That's
now.
fine.
But it's
I
fine.
don't
It's fine.
mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't expect you to remember. But yeah, I came up to you and I said, "Oh, I'm one of Gina's trained slave people."
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He doesn't remember.
forgot.
No, it's
A lot of
fine.
people do that to him.
I
by
took
the
a
way.
We took a picture.
Interesting.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
I put it in the group.
my apologies.
you,
I
I'll
completely
show you
forgot.
That's okay.
No, you don't have to apologize.
He does. He does.
I
No,
I
it's
know
okay.
I'm not memorable. I'll show you.
No, it's not about you not being memorable.
I was good that day.
I'm sure you did.
Right.
It's just that
Sure you did.
Yeah,
it happens. It
I have
happens.
younger friends. I actually went to Ibiza for my 50th, and I'd never been there to rave before.
Okay.
And Black Coffee was performing.
Yeah.
and did the whole
Yeah.
Ibiza thing with my friend Kaz, she's in her 30s.
Yeah. I'm sure when
I
saw,
am in a weird space.
Yeah,
though.
because I'm sure when I saw you at Originals, I didn't think you were 52. You know, you know what I mean? So it's like, how do you... So obviously, I'm assuming that when guys do approach you, they are much younger than you. I'm assuming.
I thought this was going to be about music.
No, it is about music, but you know what?
Finished.
We spoke about music
Spent
for...
a full
Sometimes.
hour and a half talking about music.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, let's dig.
So now I just want to... Because
Sometimes.
I feel like you're in this space, I'm trying to navigate a little bit, trying to find out a few things.
Yeah.
So when they do approach you and they find out your age, what's normally the reaction?
I mean, they normally just run.
Run.
No, I'm joking. I mean, some people, they're not bothered.
100%.
No, I can imagine so.
They're not bothered.
Okay.
I would.
But they're shocked. They're shocked.
Yeah.
People are shocked.
And would you say that you date younger or older men? If you don't mind me asking.
I date who I vibe
100%.
with.
Love it.
You know,
Love that.
no, obviously. But it's like,
Yeah, I
you know what it is? I'm comparing, I think in my mind, I'm comparing a 52-year-old man or 50 and above
Mm.
who doesn't look young for his age compared to you, who looks young for her age. So I'm like, being that you look young for your age, would you prefer to be with someone who looked younger or older? Or, you know what I mean? I'm trying to find out.
I just
You just
don't,
whoever's.
yeah, I don't really think about how a person looks in relation to myself.
Okay.
Yeah. And guys my age, I just don't really meet them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't meet them at
just-
the originals.
And most guys my age that
What?
are like,
So you wouldn't meet them at
He's
originals?
right, but
yeah.
I don't know what he just did.
No, that wasn't meant to be an insult.
No, kind of. You're saying,
No.
well,
Yeah, but I was
if you
there.
wanted to meet them, you wouldn't be going to originals.
No. He just meant that
Is that what you think?
older
Is that
men
what you
wouldn't
think?
be
He's very
there.
cheeky.
Is
Yeah.
that what you meant?
Oh, yeah.
But I was there.
No, but you're there because you look young and that's what you're
That's
into.
why she went, because she looked young, because she enjoyed the vibes.
The music.
She's young at heart, to be honest.
I'm
Okay,
not.
she is, but okay, cool. If I go to originals or any type of festival, I don't see anyone who looks like they're in their 50s.
But how do you know?
No,
Mm.
I'm not saying they aren't in their 50s.
Yeah.
I said that looks like they're in their
Right.
50s. So it's like, for example, I'm very age aware. I wouldn't go to a festival that
I think younger people are very
I
aware.
feel is a lot of younger people or people who are not really
Like,
in my.
I wouldn't go to Wireless
You know what I mean?
anymore. I actually went there a couple of years ago because I needed to get the tickets for my daughter so she could go in with her friends.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, I can't come here anymore.
yeah,
But I have been to it quite a few times.
yeah.
But I think, was it Travis? Not Travis Scott, the other one. One of those rappers who caused a stampede at Wireless was there
It's called the Stampede at
a couple
Wireless.
of years ago.
I remember that.
His tent was massively packed.
Okay. Yeah, don't listen to me. He's trying to spin things I'm
A friend
saying.
of mine was in Stampede.
Where in what the Travis Scott one?
Wireless. No, it's Travis Scott. As she said, I don't think Travis Scott, but she got injured. So
Oh,
Who was the artist?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
yeah.
I'm sure she told you, though.
No, she didn't.
I don't remember this Wireless Stampede. How many years ago was this?
I don't think it was 2 years ago because obviously.
No, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
about
a
4
few
years
years
ago.
ago,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was an interesting line of questioning.
Oh, sorry.
Not really. So you get defensive
Was
when
it-
people ask
not
you questions
really.
like that?
Huh?
You get defensive when people ask you questions like that?
Questions like what?
Like what we just did just now. That interesting line of questioning just now. Yeah.
No, obviously that's not why she came in. She came in to talk about me.
Oh, serious? She said no talking about anything other than
No, there was-
cycling up the hills?
There was there was no pre-pod discussion. I'm just saying I'm
No, I
assuming.
just wasn't expecting it.
It just
that's
takes us by surprise how youthful you look, to be honest. So again, it's just
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I'm asking
Oh.
everyone this. If, for example, you look 52 years old, I don't think I'd be asking you about.
I might be. I'm into that.
Yeah, he probably would. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
asking you about these things, but because I feel like, oh, I wonder how
now.
you navigate
Yeah.
looking younger than you are and how does it work? That's the only reason why I'm asking,
Okay.
really. No other reason.
Interesting.
I'm sure he has other reasons.
Yeah,
why he's
hopefully
asking.
your daughter has your youthful genes.
I mean,
Or she getting.
hopefully.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I say she was with it.
Hopefully.
Cool.
I'm sure you two can do them pictures where, you know, them people do pictures and it's like, oh, me and my mother, and people are like, who's the daughter? Who's the mother? Who's the daughter? We can't tell.
Oh
No?
my God, stop it. Stop it.
Never mind.
Embarrassing me.
Oh, sorry. So are we? Okay, cool.
Never mind.
We are embarrassing you. We will end there. Any advice for young
Cyclists.
black women who are trying to strive in their chosen fields? Anything? Any words of encouragement?
I just, the mantra that I live by is just never take no for an answer.
Okay, I can
That
respect
is
that.
just my mantra. And, you know, if you try one route, you don't succeed. You just have to regroup and try another route and
Yeah.
try another route. If you really want
Try
to do
another
this
route
thing,
into the same thing.
yeah.
But is there a saying of, you know, sometimes something isn't for you?
Yeah.
When do you know, okay, cool, I'm never gonna give up, but when is it like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, maybe I should give up and try something else? Is there room for that? Or is it just whatever your heart desires,
It's-
keep going through it until you can't, you know what I mean?
Until you feel that you've given it your best shot.
Okay.
It really is up to you. And
Yeah.
there is no shame in deciding, well, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But if that's what you want to do, you are going to, most things worth having, you are going to come up against obstacles.
Yeah,
You
for
just
sure.
are.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just takes trying a different approach for you to be able to see your way through.
Yeah.
You know, life isn't easy, but I just definitely feel that you should always go for what you want and don't let other people put you off.
I agree. All right. Fantastic. This has been a nice intro. This has been a good episode. It's been a change from, so I hope you guys have stayed engaged and listened all the way through. I know this is a little bit of a switch from what you're normally used to, but, sometimes switch up, innit? So, yeah, thank you for coming.
Thanks
I
for having me.
appreciate it. When
Thanks for having me.
Gina's back,
Yeah.
we'll bring you back on. And you can just join in the conversation about whatever.
I would love that.
Yeah, we talk about whatever here. So you don't have to come and rehash all the stories about the 80s. You could just...
Yeah. Oh, wicked.
We could just have a little chin wag about...
That sounded so 80s, isn't it? Wicked.
Yeah, because it was only 5 years of your life that we talked about just now. And if you
It's a
I'm
whole...
sure you're more interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got...
Yeah. I'm going to ask Brent about the frisson between him and Gina.
You can ask him now. You can ask him right now.
Interesting.
Let's go on. You can pry. He's been prying into your life. It's time for you to pry into his. Let's go.
So tell me, seems to be a good vibe between you two.
It is. There is. But
Yeah.
she's fighting me. Yeah.
Fighting temptation.
I don't think she wants good things for her life. But as you said, keep on wearing her down.
Yes.
Don't take no for an answer.
Well, no, because that could be
Bit
stalkerish.
violence.
But I thought you two looked good together at the live show.
Mm.
Do you feel like there's anything real there? Do you think it's all just playfulness for the pod, or do you think there's actually something there, any substance there?
I think there might be like a good friendship connection that
sure.
nobody wants to cross the line,
Okay.
make that move.
Do you feel like they're actually compatible? Like,
Oh,
on a
I have
real
no
level?
idea. I have no idea.
Based on what you know? Based on
I have no
knowing Gina,
idea.
based on what you've heard from him on the pod? No? You haven't got a clue?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I need to look into that
Hmm?
further. Do you think you're compatible?
No. I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
But like I said, she's fighting me. She doesn't want good things for life.
But Gina's in Ghana, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, right now she's in Dubai.
You going to visit her?
I've visited her twice since she's been away, yeah. But again, she's fighting me.
He hasn't visited no one, please.
I have visited twice since she's been away. You don't know about it.
You've been to Ghana.
100%.
Okay. I don't know about it.
100%.
In his dreams.
Exactly.
All right, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I would love to come back.
Yeah, no, please do. Gina was like, okay, cool, should we postpone this episode until she's back?
Mm.
But I was like, nah, let's just do it, because I feel like she is probably best to be here when we've done the music stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that we get out of the way.
Yeah.
And then when she's here, we can just have a normal pod where you just chime in on whatever topic we're discussing.
You're saying that she would have fallen asleep due to the bed?
Essentially, yeah. Not falling asleep, but I don't think Gina has any interest in the convo we just had,
Mm.
in my opinion.
Mm.
You know what I mean? She probably has interest in salacious stuff. Like who dated Will Smith, and
Yeah.
did you see LL Cool J at any point, or was there any... Actually, that's a question. LL Cool J?
I didn't date him.
Were you interested?
In dating him?
Yeah. Were you paused?
I mean, he was the hot guy. He was
Yeah, he was the ladies' man.
And he was part of that tour when I first met Griff from Public Enemy. So
Okay.
I saw him, and he looked great.
What was the groupie scene saying in the 80s?
The groupie scene. To be fair, like with the hip hop thing, yeah, there was a lot of groupie action. There was a lot
Yeah.
of girls hanging out in the hotels
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But there was also a lot of guys hanging out in the hotels, who wanted to get put on.
What you said it was so funny with their seat. Hold on. So it wasn't. So obviously, in the I don't know, 90s, 2000s, it was like, here's my CD.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, before CDs, what was it? Was it
tape.
just? I keep forgetting about tapes.
It was a
I
cassette.
keep forgetting about tapes. Yeah. I keep forgetting about
Yeah.
tapes. Here's my tape. Okay. I went to a Lupe Fiasco concert last week. Yeah. And
Last week.
yeah, last week he was performing at I can't remember what it was. My mind's gone blank. But there was two guys outside selling CDs. And I'm like, you guys are real champions. Like, you guys are, it's 2020. No,
CDs,
sorry. It's
like
2022.
burn CDs.
And you niggas are still doing the whole listen to my CD thing. I'm thinking we have moved on from that. This is not that era.
Wow.
Like, still pursue your career, but handing out CDs outside concerts is so, like, you guys are Vikings. Literally. I find it so fascinating that they're still doing this now in 2022. It was crazy.
But how else would they share their music now?
Online.
But you can't guarantee that people are going to go to online. What they're going to do is
No,
give
but-
you a card or...
No, but you know what it
Yeah,
is?
you're supposed to give them a card with a little QR
No,
code.
you give CD. Yeah, that's
And
what I'm
then you
saying.
do
No,
it and it goes to Spotify.
you know what it is? Because no one
That's
even
what they
has...
should be doing.
Do you have a CD player?
No.
No.
Do you have a CD player?
No.
You know what? I bought a laptop a few years ago, yeah? And
Yeah. They
I
don't
never,
have the
I
CD
never
drive.
knew I never had a CD drive until 2-3 years later. Because I never needed to use a CD drive.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a CD drive. But I
Yeah.
hadn't needed it. That's how
Yeah.
obsolete they are.
Mm,
You know what I mean? I just find it fascinating to me. I find it interesting that that's still the hustle
yeah.
for some people, is handing out your CD in 2022. But, you know,
How was the Lupe
should
Fiasco
have-
gig?
it was cool, man. It was good. It was a surprise because I woke up that day not thinking I was going to a concert at all. Spoke to my boy and he goes, he's going to Lupe Fiasco. I'm like, well, Lupe's in town. Check online. There's still tickets available. So
Of course there was.
I bought tickets. You rascal. See, it was cool still. It was cool. But you know, it's about concerts and me, yeah. I'm always let down because there's a lot of songs I want to hear that I never performed. So it's like, I wanted to hear this song, that song, that song. They don't do their whole catalogue. So that's the only thing about concerts that I don't like, is that I don't get to hear everything I want to hear. But it was good. I can't complain. It was good.
Did you tell your daughter that you were coming on the podcast today?
I think I did. Yeah, I did.
What advice did she give you?
She's just like, relax. I was a bit nervous
Were you?
about talking about that whole era.
Yeah.
I know my memory's not like the best.
Okay. What?
I've lived a lot of life and
We would know.
I worked quite intensely for a number of years. And, you know, like when you just overloaded by work, I think I just lost a portion of memories
Okay.
because of it.
Do you know if your daughter listens to podcasts at all? 'Cause obviously, she's definitely in that age demographic who listen to 28.
Nah,
You don't know if she does, or you?
I don't think she listens to podcasts.
Okay.
She just listens to music 24/7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She does like a really broad cross section of music, but there's this concert on at the Barbican. She likes Angela Winbush. I don't know if you've heard of Angela Winbush.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Who's
Old soul
who's
singer.
Yeah.
She's an old soul singer.
Okay, I never heard of her.
What's the song that she's famous for?
I'm lying. I'm a hair. I'm entertaining people.
Anyway, but yeah, she listens to music 24/7.
Okay.
I don't think she listens to podcasts.
Okay, all right.
But I listen to your podcast.
Appreciate it.
Because of Gina.
Yeah, because of Gina, really. Yeah. But it's good.
He threw
It's
that.
alright.
He threw it as a jab, but
It's
it
alright.
didn't land.
It's good. I've tried a couple before, and like you say, there's a bit of a generation gap, and they haven't really resonated with me.
Yeah.
You know, or I feel like obviously they're not talking to me. I mean, I don't feel like you guys are talking to me, but I
Yeah.
find what you talk about interesting.
So if you were to, mold your own podcast in terms of
Mm.
what you want to hear, what would you want to hear on the podcast?
I want to hear about people cycling up hills.
That's not what you
No,
want to hear, but
what would I want to hear in a podcast?
yeah. A podcast that isn't specific to a particular topic. So a podcast that isn't just about music or isn't about cycling, like a podcast which is about general stuff.
Yeah, like current affairs,
Current
current
affairs.
news, issues, stuff that's popping off on social media.
But that's what most podcasts
Yeah,
cover.
yeah,
Is it
I know.
so? Okay, would you prefer it to be delivered by people who are maybe a bit more, I don't know, mature, a bit older? Maybe then you could relate to it a bit more.
No, I don't think it's about an age. I just think it's about, do people's style resonate with you?
Oh, okay.
That's all.
And
Because
what-
like
what
some
type-
of the other podcasts that I've listened to, you're of a similar age,
yeah,
but it's just
different
delivery,
styles.
yeah,
Okay.
different.
What style do you prefer? More slapstick, comedic, or more serious approach,
Just
or like a balance?
I like the way you mix it up. Like sometimes you'll talk about something that's serious, and then Gina will do like her breakdown of power.
Yeah.
That's which I find.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
You're
Why are you
fun
laughing?
at parties, aren't you?
Huh?
You're real fun at parties, aren't you?
Why is that?
Like he's trying to squeeze something out of you, like, yeah, I like riding up a hill.
Wow. Are you dissing me?
Not at all, not at
No,
all.
he is.
But the
He's-
fact that
he's-
you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even.
No, he's implying that you're boring.
I know.
Whoa!
I know he is.
Of course he
How
is.
did we get there?
Brent.
No. I think that's why I asked you if your daughter courts you, because you're like being like, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh, okay. Question: Did you come here
I'm a journalist.
with
Is
your?
it?
No, but that's what I'm gonna say. Did you come here with like a
Media ready.
media brain, artist brain? Like, okay, I'm gonna be media trained. I'm an artist, so I'm gonna speak as an artist. As in, I'm not gonna let them in too much. Not gonna delve too deep. Not gonna say anything I shouldn't say. I'm gonna keep it all surface level. Is that kind of how you came in here? You
No.
came in open arms.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's laughing.
No, because I didn't think that, obviously, because you stopped doing music so many years ago, so I didn't think you're going to come in here
Like,
with artists,
I'm
with-
being. I'm
like
being
I'm being interviewed.
No, it's
artists,
a
man.
conversation.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that, you know, obviously I've come through the door. I don't really know you guys.
Yeah.
And
I would have loved for Gene to be patched in, because then 100% you'd have been more relaxed and whatnot. Then I would
Yeah.
have been a bit
So-
grilling. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Next
maybe I'm not as
Yeah.
No,
relaxed.
That's
as-
okay.
I think you're doing fine. He has a problem. I have no issue with how you've been. You've been completely fine.
Like, I could get more relaxed.
I know you
I
can.
wanna
Next time when Gina
Put my
is on,
foot in your head.
100%.
Relax.
Well, you can put your foot in his head for like 10 minutes.
100%.
I
100%.
mean, damn.
Go on.
No.
Cuss him out. Cuss
No.
him out.
I don't want none of that. No. You've been a great guest. A great guest.
Anyways, it was really nice talking to you.
Appreciate
I
it.
want to see the picture of you guys at Originals. Because he seemed to forget.
No, I've completely forgotten. Maybe the picture will jog my memory.
Oh, God. There's probably like 20,000
Pictures on that day.
pictures in the Train to Slay.
Oh, was in the same group. Oh, you
Yeah.
threw
What
in
I'll
the
do
group.
is I'll find it later. and
Cool,
I'll send it to
cool.
you.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, sweet. All right then, guys. Thank you for listening. This has been. Oh, sorry. Were you want to say something?
No.
Okay.
I just wanted to stop rustling.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it. This has been Me. It's After 7. I've been You have been
Donna,
from the
She
She
Rockers.
Rockers. Did you say it in a particular way back in the
No.
day? Was it just She Rockers?
the she rockers.
The She Rockers.
And I've been moaning in the middle.
Moni in the middle.
Yep.
And we out.